Do you want to hear more about the so-called Wenatchee sex ring cases?
Do you want to hear about what judges to avoid?
Do you want to hear about the most gruesome multiple homicide case?
Do you want to hear about actual death cases?
Do you want to hear about when a judge was the target of an ex-husband who went on a killing spree?
Then enter the Smokin' Gavel podcast. Hi, I'm retired Judge Chip Small. I will preside over this podcast along with my bailiff, Madeline Rose. Please join us as we share our views of our justice system from a unique, candid, and inside view. Maddie, what's on the docket today?
Your Honor, today's session tells our listeners 3 things. 1, why they should continue to listen. 2, why you were compelled to create the Smokin' Gavel podcast. And 3, what our upcoming episodes cover.
The Smokin' Gavel podcast is sponsored by Judge Small Books and Gatekeeper Press, a full-service publishing company empowering authors with complete creative control, professional guidance, and 100% royalties. Whether you're publishing your first book or your 10th, their team makes the process simple, transparent, and truly author-friendly. And I can attest to that. They're great to work with. Listeners of the show can receive 10% off any publishing package with Gatekeeper Press. Just mention code CHIP-SMALL when requesting a quote or during your free consultation at gatekeeperpress.com. Okay, order in the court. The Smokin' Gavel podcast is now in session. If you want to hear about true crimes and other high-profile cases handled by a judge with 27 years' experience, then you've come to the right place. If you want to hear about how little training trial court judges actually get before they enter the courtroom, then you've come to the right place.
Okay, well, it sounds like a behind-the-scenes view of our justice system for people like me to understand. That's going to be transparent, authentic, and honest?
Exactly, Maddie. As a retired judge, I'm now free to express my opinions about anything.
Well, why couldn't you before you retired?
Well, the Code of Judicial Conduct prevents sitting judges from giving their opinions on subjects other than the administration of justice. But now that I'm retired, I'm free to express my opinions about anything. You see, a judge's job is to be a neutral and detached magistrate who must apply the law objectively, not to promote their own personal or political views. If judges express their opinions openly, then the public will be misled into thinking the judge will decide the case based on those opinions, rather than doing so objectively and without prejudice to either party.
So, Judge, what compelled you to create this podcast?
2 things, Maddie. 1, you and my publisher convinced me that many people are into true crime stories. 2nd, I'd like to pull back the curtain from what I jokingly refer to as the judge being the Wizard of Oz. Ordinary folks don't know much about us. And I hope to educate the public about the weaknesses of the system through my podcast and my books that will hopefully lead to improvements in the judiciary.
Okay, I'm in. And I hope our listeners are too, because it sounds like we're going to get a little bit more than true crime, but a judge's perspective from it.
That's true.
Who is Chip Small? Who are you, Chip? Judge Chip Small, retired Judge Chip Small.
I attended the University of Washington School of Law and was fortunate enough to participate in their first criminal justice clinical program, where we actually, the 13 of us, were able to get a temporary license to practice law after just 2 years of law school. I worked as a public defender summer after my second year of law school, and then continued to work as a public defender throughout my 3rd year. I attended classes Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and worked Tuesday, Thursday.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that was kind of fun because during the school year, I actually represented all the prostitutes, or I guess we should call them sex workers, in Seattle, and defending them when they would get charged. And kind of surprised my wife when a couple of my clients came by our apartment to say howdy. But in any event, I proceeded to graduate, worked in a law firm as a trial lawyer for 13 years. I was appointed to the Superior Court bench.
At what year?
At the young age of 38.
And what year was that?
1991.
So 1991, 38 years old. Okay.
Yep.
Just had to.
And so I went ahead and served for 27 years as a Superior Court judge, where for the most part we heard family law cases and serious felony criminal cases, and then everything else. And then during my career, I was blessed with a lot of unique, high-profile cases that.
Yeah, we all know about that here.
Yeah, well, for a rural court, basically, it's surprising how many of those found me or found my courtroom, and so I have that to offer the listeners. I also am proud to say that I actually wrote the book on how to be a trial court judge.
Right.
I served on the Judicial Education Committee for Superior Court judges for a number of years, co-chaired it for a few years, and realized when I got phone calls from the attorney for the governor asking about certain candidates that wanted to serve on the Superior Court, she would lament that she'd really like a particular candidate, but she'd never tried a case. And I kind of chuckled because hardly any lawyers have tried cases. I mean, criminal lawyers do, defense attorneys and prosecutors, but beyond that...
people settle normally, right?
Well, they settle, but more importantly, it's just too expensive
right.
to go to trial. When I was a trial lawyer in the 80s, I tried cases all over the state. People could afford it. But now attorney's fees are so high, they can't afford it. And even more importantly, most things are governed by contracts, and the potential litigant that would go to court isn't allowed to because they're forced to go to arbitration or mediation according to the terms of the contract.
Right.
So the lawyers that were becoming judges had never tried a case.
Yeah.
In fact, there was one lawyer in Seattle that was elected to the Superior Court bench when he was in his 50s. He'd never been in the courthouse. So I did make an effort to convince the administrator of the Office of the Courts to provide a full-time judicial college. And I had selected a spot. There was state-owned land that was available, and a major company had already had an option to purchase the property, and they did all the engineering to see if it was viable, and they decided against purchasing it, but we had that engineering available. Anyway, long story short, she said no. She wouldn't let me even present it to the board. So
not a college for judges, basically.
Right.
You wanted to have a school for judges instead of just like
with a dormitory
buddy going.
and the whole.
Yeah,
because
somebody should experience a trial before actually ruling on a trial, right?
Exactly. I mean, the police in our state, they do 880 hours of training at the Criminal Justice Institute before they walk a beat. Judges, nothing. There is no.
Yep, and most people don't know that.
Training. I know.
Most people don't realize that most judges were actually lawyers. And it's so funny because now when I hear people, they brag, they're like, I'm going to court pro bono. I don't need a lawyer. I always caution them. I'm like, most likely that judge was a lawyer. I mean, and truly anybody can run for a judge. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, no, you've got to be a lawyer now.
Okay, so
in the old days, district court, you could be a layperson. Well, anyway, so I struck out on Plan A. So Plan B, I came up with a mandatory 1-week training for every new judge before they took the bench. And our Superior Court Judges Association endorsed it. And it was, it's just 5 days of training. It would involve training.
So boot camp for judges?
Yeah, it would be. And
okay.
They loved it, but it would cost 0.8% of the administrative office of the court's budget. And so the administrator said no.
Oh, okay. So we're still not there. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So then we went to Plan C. And Plan C was to write a book on how to be a judge. So one of the reasons your listeners may want to continue listening is I'm literally the guy that wrote the book on how to be a judge.
Yeah, I know a lot of lawyers who have said they've read your book. So
I've had judges tell me they listened to it on their way to court
Yeah.
because it's available in Audible as well. But it's named You're Not a Lawyer Anymore, a primer for those who want to be a good judge. And the reason I emphasize you're not a lawyer anymore is that the job of a judge is completely different than that of a lawyer. And so I wanted to make sure the new judge understood that. And I also deliberately made it short, pithy, and hopefully entertaining because I wanted the judges that really ought to read it to read it.
I appreciate it. And the art in there, the mosquitoes, the bloodsuckers.
It was a
I
gnat.
love my lawyers out there.
It was a gnat.
Oh, a gnat. Okay, yes. Well, yes. So sorry for that one.
That's a little bit about me and my experience, and hopefully the listener understands how candid and authentic I intend this podcast to be. What's our last docket item?
Up next, we'll share the story of True Justice, your novel based on real cases that you were involved in. You won't want to miss hearing about the killer who caused Judge Chip and his family to leave their home in the middle of the night with police escort, and about the first and fortunately only killing of a deputy sheriff in the county where Judge Chip and I live.
We hope you enjoyed our premiere episode of the Smoke and Gavel podcast. To learn more, visit judgesmallbooks.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to stay connected. Until next time, God bless.